1 second, Jadari. Welcome back to WFTD Classified Podcast. Thank you for everybody who's listening. We're here with a special guest tonight. We have Phil Longo from the University of North Carolina, who is one of Sam Howell's coaches. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Just getting out of a meeting, and I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. So, Brian, why don't you take it away here?
Coach, thank you for giving us a few minutes. We greatly appreciate it. We know you're busy. Well, first, let me start with I think you came into the UNC program 2019. I think that coincided with Sam Howell coming into the program at the same time. Let me ask you, what did you guys see in Sam, out on the recruiting trail that said, hey, we've got to get this guy into our program because he has, whether it's physical ability, mental ability, he has the right stuff that we're looking for in a signal caller for the team.
Well, it's interesting, the Sam Howell story, because when I was at Ole Miss, I recruited Sam at Ole Miss, and I'd identified him along with two other quarterbacks from that class as what I thought to be the best three in that class, and was very excited about recruiting them. And then I decided to take a job at North Carolina, and at Ole Miss it was tough. We had a 2-year bowl ban, and we had some scholarship reductions, and Duke Howell, who was Sam's dad, just said, listen, we love what you're doing offensively. We've got a good relationship with you, but we're probably not going to fly Sam over 15 other offers to land in Oxford and deal with a 2-year bowl ban, which, I can understand. And we knew that going in, working through that at our program at Ole Miss. But then, he's a North Carolina native, and just out of coincidence. And I will tell you that part of the excitement of taking the job was Mac Brown, and part of the excitement of taking the job was being able to walk back into a room with Sam Howell and say, listen, I'm coming back at you. We have no bowl ban. We have no recruiting restrictions, and I'm wearing your in-state colors, and North Carolina rules the state of North Carolina. And so to walk in there with the university that everybody wants to be at, and try and recruit him again. And then he wound up flipping from Florida State and coming to North Carolina. Oh. When I landed in Chapel Hill, Coach Brown said, I don't want you to do any recruiting. It was my first day on the job, and I couldn't wait to get recruiting.
Yeah.
And he, I didn't let him finish. He said, well, I don't want you calling any recruits. I don't want you talking to anybody. Don't go anywhere. You just go get Sam Howell flipped. And that's what he meant. So I spent, the 12 days leading up to signing day on Sam Howell. And, obviously he's had as prolific a career at North Carolina as any player has ever had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've seen, over the 3 years, all the things that he's done on the field. Can you tell us a little bit about, some of the things he does off the field that, we don't get to see in terms of his preparation to be the starting quarterback at UNC? A lot of times, we get to see, what happens on Saturday. Maybe we get to see a workout video or something like that, but we don't see all the aspects of film study, of additional preparation, extra practice that he's putting in. Can you speak to a little bit of that?
So the word you used when you first asked me was preparation. And I would tell you that I have been very fortunate in my career to be around a lot of great quarterbacks. But none have prepared any better than Sam. The amount of time he puts in, the hours, the focus. A lot of people watch film, don't necessarily know what they're getting from the film. They kind of learn as they go. Sam spent a lot of time learning and trying to understand how you actually derive something beneficial from film so that it can translate on the field with regards to how you play and how you produce. And then he put in about as many hours, if not more, than anybody I've ever been around. And that's saying a lot, because I've been blessed to be in some really good company. And I don't say that to praise myself. I think we've won some games over the last however many years because I've been blessed just to be around some of these great quarterbacks. And Sam is the epitome of the type of character guy that you want. He's a leader. He's obsessed with the game. Obsessed with the game, obsessed with preparing, and he doesn't ever want to lose a play mentally. And then he rarely is going to lose a play because of his arm talent. And so he's a hard guy to beat when you have a guy that athletically talented, who can prepare the way he does mentally. And I think that's what makes him special. And the last thing I would say off the field and maybe away from you guys that I've talked about, but you don't see until you watch him play is how poised he is under pressure. You could never tell from Sam's demeanor if he was winning by 30 or losing by 30. He's just the same all the time. And, I often joke, and I've said this before, but I'm very, very laid back, very relaxed. That's my demeanor. That's how I coach, at least with the quarterbacks. And Sam is no different. And so we kind of jive together that way. And I say all the time, like if he and I were watching a movie at the house somewhere and it, the house was on fire, I think it would take me 5 minutes to say, hey, you know what, we might want to get up and get out of here.
Right.
Sam would probably take 5 minutes to answer back, yeah, maybe. And then we'd walk out. Like that's just the kind of the way that we live life. That's how calm he is. That's how poised he is. And I think it really lends to being a tremendous asset when the bullets are flying on the field while he's playing in the middle of the game.
No, cool under fire is always a good thing to be able to draw upon. Heading into this past season, heading into 2021, you guys lost offensively 4 players to the NFL. De'Ami Brown, who we know, we got him here in DC. So
Yep.
does happen to come here. He's got some familiar faces. Daz Newsome went to the NFL. Your 2 running backs, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter. In particular, the 2 running backs. Was there any kind of plan, or did you, kind of try to think about incorporating Sam more into the running game, or did that kind of happen naturally or organically? Because I know Sam had like 800 yards rushing, 11 TDs this year, where in previous years he didn't run the ball as much because he didn't need to. You guys had some really great running backs.
Well, we wanted to run Sam 2 years prior, but the problem became the depth that we had, or the lack of depth that we had at quarterback. And so, we had to be really careful about running him at all. And I think that this year we were just excited in this 3rd season because we have so much better depth at the quarterback position to be able to use him fully. And we lost the 2,000-yard rushers along with the 2,000-yard receivers going into the season. What we didn't expect was to lose our starting center to surgery complications and our only returning starting wideout in Bo Corrales to sports hernia surgery complications. So we actually lost him for the entire season. So 6 substantial starters going into opening day weren't even around Sam that he had around him, had the luxury of having around him the year before. I think also that we knew he could run. He ran for a lot of yards in high school. We felt like we could replace one of the 1,000-yard backs with the graduate transfer portal running back, Ty Chandler out of Tennessee.
Yep. And
he did just that. He went for 1,300 plus and 13 touchdowns or whatever he scored. And Sam really became the replacement for the other one. And truthfully, tougher season this year, but Sam was more productive this year, total offense wise, from a statistical standpoint, than he was the first 2 years. And, we had to ask more of him this year because the surrounding supporting staff was not quite the same.
So a lot of the NFL comps that we're hearing for Sam, the main one that we hear is Baker Mayfield. Do you feel like that's a fair comparison, or is it a little high or a little low in your opinion?
Baker Mayfield is such a talented quarterback. It's a tremendous compliment to Sam. They both throw the ball so exceptionally well. I think Sam is a very mobile quarterback. I don't know if he's as mobile as Baker, but he is the epitome. He is Drew Brees reincarnated. I mean, from a size, standpoint, a quick release standpoint, an arm talent standpoint. I've never seen a quarterback that I think is more like Sam, or Sam is more alike to than Drew Brees. And actually, Drew and I talked a lot about that when we played Notre Dame because he did that game for us. And I think from a talent standpoint, that's the closest comparison to, where maybe Sam is right now. I do think there are some similarities to Baker. I think a lot of that tends to start, though, with the black beard that they both have.
I was
I was just
I was thinking
that.
I was thinking the 6'1", but yeah, I guess the black beard probably a little more so. So I'm not sure how aware you are of this, but Drew Brees is a step up from Baker Mayfield.
Well, I know this.
That's a more
Drew Brees
favorable comparison. So that's a
Drew
pretty high,
Brees
that's
is
pretty
going
high
to the Hall
praise.
of Fame. I think if you look at Sam's game, what he does well, it's really it's uncanny how similar it is to the strengths and weaknesses of Drew Brees, and that bodes well for him if he can get that to translate at the next level.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with Washington's offense, what they do and their personnel, but do you see, I mean, obviously if he's Drew Brees, he fits anywhere, but do you see him as a good fit? What type of offense would best suit him, I guess, in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to matter, just because he's capable mentally of handling whatever. You have the whole kill system in the league where you're going to, you've got 2 or 3 calls and you're going to cut 2 of them and roll with the best one. You've got the systems where the answers are built in and you've got to make good decisions at QB. You have your run first play action stuff that it's become a little bit more popular. I don't really think it matters. He's a throw first quarterback, a think first quarterback. And I don't know that I think what the team is going to want to do that takes him, and I think they all plan to do this, is to play to the strengths of the quarterback that they have. And Sam has a lot of them. So, he'll be an asset, I think, no matter where he goes.
Now, you talked a lot about Sam's intelligence and his preparation. Can you kind of give us a sense of how much pre-snap freedom Sam had at UNC?
A tremendous amount, and I just told our returning quarterbacks this year, if they model themselves after Sam with regards to preparation, from a preparation standpoint, they can't go wrong. If Sam had come back for one more year, truthfully, I would have signaled a formation and then pointed at him, which means the play's on you. I mean, we're to a point right now where he's got the best seat in the house at quarterback. He understands the offense the way I do, understands why we're running what we're running, when to run it, how to run it. And I would have given him some play calling ability this year had he come back for a 4th season. So that's how much I think of and trust Sam with regards to his knowledge of the game. And, he could coach this thing right now. He doesn't need me anymore. He hasn't needed me in 2 years. So I just try to put him in a position where he's got an opportunity to go succeed. And he makes the play come alive and makes the play work. And I thought he made all the players around him better. And I don't think that that'll change as he establishes himself in the NFL.
That's absolutely great to hear. And, with Washington, we've struggled to find a guy at the quarterback position. We've had guys, but we've struggled to find the guy. And you can go as far back as Kirk Cousins, where we had a really good quarterback, but he didn't really resonate with the fans here because I think he lacked, or at least the perception was he lacked certain leadership qualities. Can you kind of talk to us about Sam as a leader of his teammates and kind of in the locker room, what kind of guy he is?
So I can, he is, I've kind of referred to his demeanor. He's calm. He's a calm, poised cat. I mean, he is not he's not going to MF his teammates. He's not going to, we've all heard the stories about the different quarterbacks that'll get after their guys. And I think if he needs to make a point with the offensive line or a receiver or a running back, whether or not it pertains to a play out on the field during the game or practice, or even just behavior in the locker room or off the field, you'll see him over the sideline or behind a play when he's not in there repping, tugging on a jersey quite often. And that's him just very quietly, without embarrassing a person. That's him getting after somebody or correcting somebody or asking them to give him a little more with a route or a block or an effort, what have you. That's kind of his mode. When he needs to raise his voice, when he needs to be more demonstrative, he's certainly done that. I think when you do that less, you tend to get a greater reaction and a greater response, because it's almost like, hey man, if Sam's raising his voice, if he's pissed off, this must be pretty bad, because he's relatively poised most of the time. And so I think he utilizes that demeanor to an advantage. And I think he said to me one time, and these are pretty mature words. He said, Coach, when your teammates respect you, you don't have to yell at them to get them to respond. And that was Sam telling me that. And he's right. And I think guys were willing to jump and get things done just by simply being asked. And the truth is, that's what I say to Sam. We don't yell and scream at our quarterbacks. If I can't get a mature, poised response from him when I'm getting after him about something quietly, I don't know that it's going to change by ripping him up and down. And so there's some mutual respect in our room. And so I get a response when I need one. And I think he gets the same, if not better, from his teammates.
Absolutely. Coming into the NFL, there's always a question of whether or not a quarterback can start year one. From what we've seen, Sam is mature enough, in the college offense to be able to translate and participate in an NFL offense in year one. Is there any reason that you would have to think that he couldn't be a year one starter?
No, and the reason I say that is because he came in as a true freshman, beat out 2 veterans, and opened up his college career against an SEC opponent in Charlotte, and won the game. And then we played a Miami team that at that time was so much more drastically talented than we were, and he found a way to lead that team and beat Miami. So I've seen him do it, being thrown into the fire early. I can't say he wasn't prepared. He put in a tremendous offseason and getting ready even before he knew he was the starter. But when he got the opportunity, he took advantage of it. And I think he's going to prepare himself the way he needs to from a mental standpoint. I don't think that's ever going to be a deficit. And so what he's got to do is just prove that, he can go athletically compete and throw at that level.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Eric, you got something?
I was going to ask, are you keeping up with him this week at the Senior Bowl? How's he doing there? How's he?
Yeah. I just got back a day ago. I went out there, watched the first practice on Tuesday. He killed it, and of course I'm biased because I'm his coach, but I was happy to see, and it was pleasing to watch him go out there and perform the way we've watched him perform so many times over the last 3 years. And what did you see? You saw great throws. He's incredibly accurate, throws the deep ball as well as anybody I've ever seen. And he just has a sense of poise. That was the first practice. You got running backs going the wrong way, receivers lining up the wrong way. There's 11 elite athletes running around that have never played with each other before. It's their first meeting and their first practice. And, it's a chicken show a little bit. And in the middle of it all, he's going through fakes and dropping back and making throws. And for me, it just felt like, he's doing out there what he's been doing for 3 years. So I think his stock is going up there. I think he's done a great job in the interviews. And I don't need to come on shows and promote Sam. I think Sam just performing and meeting and talking with these guys is going to represent very well. And I think he's going to do very, very well at the next level.
Mr. Longo, we certainly appreciate your time and you carving out a few moments for us. And, this is really encouraging for our fan base to hear, and the fan base of the Washington, I guess now Commanders, to hear positive things about a quarterback that has a very real possibility of ending up here in Washington. So we appreciate you very much. And thank you once again.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, y'all take care of De'Ami Brown for us, okay?
We will.
Sam will.
Yeah, Sam will.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the invite. You guys have a good evening.
You
Hey,
too.
take care. Thank you.